And when I was flying for the airlines in my, in my late 20s, I had I'm standing there at the door greeting passengers. I've had passengers remark, "Oh my gosh, there's babies flying this airplane," because I looked like a little kid when I was almost 30. And, I always make some snazzy comment like, "Yeah, it's career day over at the high school. I thought I'd come over and check it out."
Yeah,
but,
yeah.
but
So
it goes the other way too.
hi, welcome to the Pro Pilot Playbook, where we give the tips, tricks, and hacks to become professional pilots faster and cheaper. I'm Mike Martin.
And I'm Sean Ritchie.
Yeah, thanks for tuning in. We've got another great episode today. The questions keep piling into our email. We're getting, a lot of great ideas. We've been doing some interview videos and everything. In the meantime, all these questions keep popping up. So what we'd like to do is hit a couple good ones that we've had in this video. We've had some feedback saying, hey, maybe you should do shorts with questions. We may get into some of that, but right now we just picked some of the best ones and we want to run through because I think the answers to these would be beneficial to, a lot of our viewers. But again, we love the questions. We love the support. We get emails from people saying how wonderful we're helping them. That's encouragement to us. We like encouragement. And then all the questions are great. It really helps us review those and decide what podcast we're going to do. And we on that note, please like and subscribe to the podcast because as that builds the YouTube algorithm, that builds momentum, helps keep me and Sean excited to bring you great material.
Right. And if you are watching us and maybe this isn't your first time here, you've watched this a few times and you realize that, hey, we may be actually helping people and dropping some good information.
Right.
Hitting that subscribe button and the like button, that helps the push to the top of the list so other people can
and share these videos too to people that might be interested in aviation that might be thinking about it. But
and speaking, Mike, of people getting excited about us and engaging or whatever.
Oh yeah.
From what I think you told me a few days ago, somebody else another sighting you on the road.
I got to tell to all the viewers now, Sean is starting to get jealous. I think he is because I'm constantly being stopped in FBOs and no one ever stops him. So please, when you see him out at an airport, please stop. Act like he says, ask for his autograph.
Right. That's because I'm sitting in that Delta lounge. I don't hang out in the FBO.
Yeah. I was in upstate New York and I was standing out in front of the FBO talking to the other pilot, and a guy walks by and he just stops dead in his tracks when he hears my voice. And he's like, "Hey, I know that voice. Are you Mike?" I'm like, yeah, great guy. I think his name was Kenny. He had his family with him.
It wasn't even a sighting. It was a listening.
A listening. Yeah, maybe he's a Spotify guy. I don't know. But he ends up stopping me, and it was actually we were waiting out front because the passengers were going to pull up, so I didn't get a chance to give him a tour of the airplane. But certainly if you see me and there's time, or you see Sean, say hello, and then we'll see what we can do as far as maybe showing you the thing. But yeah, Kenny was great. He had his whole family there. He's second career guy, making the change.
Nice. Wow,
very encouraging.
Good luck.
We're getting the and we're getting the information out there that these video, this pilot shortage is real and people can really do this. So, I know it's helpful to a lot of people. It's kind of a cool airport that I saw him at. It's called Rome, New York RME. It's up in upstate New York. And this place was something else, man. It's the runway there. It was an old B-52 Air Force Base, Griffiths Air Force Base. And the runway is 200 by 12,000. So it's 200 feet wide and 12,000 feet long.
Oh, is this the airport where they had that when they redid Woodstock?
Yes.
And the disaster in the 90s. Woodstock
99 or
99. Yeah.
Yeah, so there's a Netflix show about the remaking of Woodstock where they did this at that airport, and a lot of bad things happened. But it's a cool airport, to see that, and that's where I saw those guys at. So, love it. So, Sean, I think you got you've got a good question here to start off with,
Yeah,
don't you?
yeah. So to get back into our old question episodes here, we're going to do two of them at once today because they're similar subject and topic and I don't know. We'll just get into it here. All
Okay.
right, the first one's from I'm just going to go ahead and read them both and we'll go through this stuff. First one's from JB. Actually, it looks like his name's James. James, thank you for the question. The subject is question about COVID policy and age. Hi, guys. Really enjoying your podcast on YouTube. I just had a couple quick questions. What is the airline's policy on COVID vaccine these days? Are pilots at the airline still required to get the shot? If so, how many shots are required to be considered vaccinated? Are corporate pilots required to get the shot? If so, how many shots to be considered vaccinated? Any other info regarding the shot for pilots that you think is relevant would be greatly appreciated. My second question is about age. I am 56, which I know is a little late to be starting for a job at a major airlines, but from watching your videos, a corporate job still may be an option. My question is there any ageism when it comes to hiring pilots? Would the person hiring rather hire a young whippersnapper that has years or somebody that has years and years of flying ahead, or that has years and years ahead, flying ahead of them, instead of an older pilot that doesn't have quite as many years of flying ahead of them? Have you seen any ageism happen during your career? One more quick one. He says, do corporate pilots get hired right out of school, or is there a minimum number of flight hours required to be hired like the airlines? He's referring to the airlines, which require 1,500 hours. And then he that's pretty much the end of the question. Oh, he does say this, which he's talking about watching another video, but then he says, I know I got to get out there and take action like you guys always say in your videos. Looking forward to hearing from you. Keep up the good work.
Oh man, take action, man.
Yeah.
Implementation is key,
Yeah.
man. That's you can't just sit around, man. You got to do something. Yeah, yeah. So
Yeah.
if you guys are watching today, just go out to a small airport and walk around, start talking to people or whatever. Just
Right.
get in the mix. Get in the mix. That's
Yeah.
that's a good thing. But
All right. So the second one, real quick for you.
Okay.
Because I think they're so similar. We're gonna overlap on some of this.
Sure.
Go ahead and read the other one. This one's from Joshua. And Joshua says, hello, Sean and Mike. I just started watching your guys' videos on YouTube and absolutely love all the information you give. I'm currently doing the ground school for my private pilot's license. And once I get that foundation under me, I want to get a corporate pilot position as quickly as possible. My question is, how soon after I get all my certificates will I be able to get to a good pay scale? I'm currently making 85 grand a year salary, but work around 50 hours a week. I'm a CNC programmer for an automotive manufacturer, and I have worked in a factory since I was straight out of high school and looking to do a career change. I've always loved airplanes, but my biggest fear is letting my wife and 2-year-old son down with taking on this huge amount of debt. We currently only owe on a house we just finished building in Tennessee. Other than that, absolutely no debt. Hope you can answer my question. Look forward to hearing back. Thank you for your time and keep the videos coming. Great question,
Man, that's
Josh.
these are all really good.
And JB, or I guess I should call you James. But you guys, Mike, I think we're being typecast or pigeonholed into just being corporate pilots here, and all these guys. I don't know, maybe because that's what we talk about a lot. A lot of our emails, our questions are, folks wanting to be corporate pilots, and that's not necessarily, we really want to be pushing for both. And as a matter of fact, the more, I don't know, the state, I don't know want to use the word stable, but the more reliable numbers and information that we can give probably is from the airline point of view, because in the corporate world, that can mean anything. That could mean flying for a huge flight department at Coca-Cola, or it could be flying around in the right seat of a little turboprop King Air. Of course, you could also do both. You could use your corporate experience to get to your 1,500 hours and then go to the airlines.
Yeah,
Where
absolutely.
right now the regional jet pilot, a regional airline pilot, they're throwing you $50,000 to $80,000 bonuses just for going with that company instead of their competitor, and you're making pretty much damn near 100 grand a year out of the gate at these companies now. But
Yeah,
to
yeah.
get into the actual answering the questions these guys got.
We're good at digressing.
Yeah,
The vaccine question, I think we should address that first because
sure.
it is to certain people, it's a huge freaking deal. I mean, certain people, it would actually just rule out a career in aviation for some
Mhm.
people because some people feel very, very, very strongly about this issue,
Yeah,
regardless of your views. And we're not going to get into any of that. We can talk about how this has affected the industry and things. So, in my opinion, and I'm not an expert on this subject matter, but it is all kind of dying, basically,
yeah.
the vaccination thing.
It's
Yeah,
pretty
yeah, and
much done. It's pretty much done. I haven't when that was going on, there was airlines when it was hot and heavy, and all of your major Fortune 500 companies were requiring employees to do it. Of course, the airlines were requiring pilots to do it, except for a couple. There were a handful of major airlines that didn't want anything to do with it. They weren't going to force it. But there were others that were. And when that was going on, the chatter on the Facebook pilot groups and just in our industry, it was everywhere. And I haven't heard a peep out of any of it in a long time, which leads me to believe that they are done with it. I don't want to sit here and say that there isn't a major still requiring it, because there is a possibility there is maybe one, but I
Mhm.
don't think that it was. I should preface all this with when they were requiring it, the ones that were requiring it, I had heard several firsthand stories of people not having to take it with a religious exemption or some other thing. It wasn't a black and white, nope, you can't work here thing. They were working with
Yeah,
folks. They were working with folks that didn't want it. And like I said, there were some majors that didn't even want to touch it and were not requiring it whatsoever.
yeah. That sounds about right. And the common theme in the corporate world was, well, we're not going to make it get it unless we go somewhere where it's required, right?
Right.
Then
Exactly.
if your vaccination status prevents you from getting your mission done as a pilot, then we got a problem. So I haven't been I've been, and that's meaning when you travel internationally,
Sure.
and I haven't had anyone ask for my vaccination card since I did have I was doing some international travel to the islands in the height of COVID, and they would check your cards. But now, I mean, I haven't had anyone look or
Right.
ask. Have you had
No,
any?
no,
Yeah.
no. And I was just in Costa Rica not too long ago, and they were one of the countries that was really pushing. It's I think it's pretty much done. And I don't think it's a concern whatsoever. Great question though, because it's possible some other people are thinking that, but
Right.
it's nothing to be concerned about to stop you from pursuing this. If you're one of the people that didn't want anything to do with it, don't no, keep chasing this thing down.
Right. Keep chasing it down. Yeah. Keep
Right.
going.
Yep.
Cool. So what was the next
All right.
section?
So he was talking about ageism. James was
Yeah.
also asking about, have we seen any ageism? Um,
Yeah.
and I, my response to that directly is no. I haven't seen any ageism. What I have seen is more of, I don't know what kind of ism you put on this, but there is a little bit of a taboo or in the guys that retire from the airlines and then want to go corporate. And I've actually experienced it firsthand of these guys that spent 30 years at the airlines and they decide they want to go do corporate stuff. And at that point they're mid 60s, pushing 70, and you can do that. You have to retire from the airlines at 65.
Right.
And then these
Right.
guys want to keep doing something. And then they come over to our world, Mike, and do this corporate stuff. And Um, I've seen this firsthand, training guys, and we actually had to let a guy go from our company that they have a difficulty keeping up at the speed we move. Not the aircraft speed, but I mean how we have to, we are the forward face of everything in what we do. At the airlines, you got a ticket counter person, you got a gate agent,
Right.
you got flight
Right.
attendants, you got people cleaning the airplane, you got people that figure out what fuel you're doing, you figure out your flight plans.
Yes.
I mean, at many airlines, you don't even, I mean, you could request to put more fuel on the airplane, but you're not touching that fuel. That's already been figured out by a licensed dispatcher. In our world, we do everything, all of those items, cleaning the airplane. Even if something breaks, we're organizing and making sure the mechanics out there fixing it. So these guys that spent 30 years doing an airline pilot's job, where the only responsibility you have is, having your butt in that seat at whatever time it says on the schedule, everything else is done for you. Those guys have trouble transitioning into our world after 30 years of doing that. And I think age may play into that, but I've never seen somebody not get hired because of age, in my experience. Now, it could happen at the airlines, like a 121, like a Delta, United, American. I don't know if it's and they would never advertise this. I'm just speculating. This is Sean Ritchie speculation. It's possible that if you rolled into Delta or United, as a 59-year-old, there may be some apprehension to hire you when they got a room full of 25 to 35-year-olds about to be interviewed behind you. I don't know, though. That's a wild speculation, and probably something I shouldn't even have said.
Well, no, my comment would be very similar to that, in that I haven't seen it. I really haven't. Corporate is different than aviation. It all just depends on the particular employer. So it depends on that preference of that employer, if there is any bias there. So I have actually seen different conversations with different owners and operators that, some guys like to see older guys. Some companies may have had issues with older guys in the cockpit, maybe, I don't know, medicaling out. I'm making this up, but and couldn't fly, or just thought they weren't with it or something. And then they want to see younger guys in the cockpit because they think younger guys, their reflexes are faster and all that stuff. A lot of people with a lot of money are older, and they can relate better to people in their age group. It's just a natural thing, right? People can relate more to people in their age group, right?
Absolutely.
If you're in your mid 40s, you want to talk to other people about their kids that are older. If you're in your early 30s, you're talking about things that people in their early 30s do, which is have babies and they're sleeping up all night, and that thing, they can relate to that. And then if you're in your 20s, you're going out and partying and stuff, and maybe you like to talk about that. So when you look at the demographics of jet owners, it takes a lot of time to make a lot of money, generally speaking.
Well, yeah,
so,
James, I've had it go both ways too. I've had passengers tell me, I've had a co-pilot with me who was significantly older than me at the time. He had some gray hair going, and I had a passenger comment like, "Hey, it's nice. I like to see a little gray hair in that cockpit."
I've heard that.
And I'm 46, and I've always had a bit of a baby face on me. I came from the factory with, and when I was flying for the airlines in my late 20s, I had I'm standing there at the door greeting passengers. I've had passengers remark, "Oh my gosh, there's babies flying this airplane," because I looked like a little kid when I was almost 30. And, and I always make some snazzy comment like, "Yeah, it's career day over at the high school. I thought I'd come over and check it out." But it goes the other way too. I had an owner, real quick on that point, owner here in Cincinnati. I flew his jet, and he had one of these single pilot jets, the Premier jet that I fly. There's probably only 2 or 3 guys on the planet that have more time in that airplane than I do. And I fly it all around single pilot. And he was an older gentleman, but he liked the fact that that I was a little younger. He didn't want the guy with gray hair because I was single pilot. He's like, yeah, I love you. You're young and healthy and you take care of yourself and, whatever. He wanted the younger guy in the cockpit. So it goes both ways. I would not get hung up on it, I guess is the point.
Yeah. There's cases for both. So
yeah.
Yep.
James, your next question here is also pretty much the exact same question that Josh is asking, and that is can somebody right out of flight school with minimum hours become a corporate pilot instead of like the airline guy who has to get to the 1,500 hours? And that is a great question. I'm so glad both of you asked that because we're going to dig into this a little bit.
So while you were talking, Sean, I was thinking about these YouTubers and their witty things that get people to like and subscribe. So I was thinking I should have said, well, we're talking about the jab in the arm. You should jab the like button.
Yeah.
And regardless of how old you are, you're not too old to like and subscribe our channel, or too young. Right. So anyway, continue. Go ahead.
Right. Okay. All right. So, can a corporate guy go right into a job? Absolutely. Because corporate is in that Part 91 world. If we've talked about this over and over again, the separate slivers of the industry, the Part 121 airlines, the Part 135 charter, the Part 91 corporate or private jet world, which is what Mike and I are in. And that is absolutely, you can go right into it. It's in our program that we actually sell. We go into some great detail on this for someone who wants to skip being a certified flight instructor. Although it's, we don't recommend that. It is a possibility using this. So with something as little as a commercial instrument and multi-engine rating, you could have right around, less than 300 hours, between 253 and 300 hours. And you could get hired by somebody to go out and sit right seat in a jet. It's 100% legal. And people do it all the time. As a matter of fact, at the aircraft management company that I work at / co-run, that's one of our little things to get guys. And we bring them in, the guys that are probably flight instructing. A lot of them are flight instructors, and we put them in the right seat of these jets. And it's awesome for them. And it's good for us because we can get an employee that's green, and we can train them up the way we want, just like the military does with people right out of high school. We can teach them the way we want the job done. And it's we can get guys a little cheaper than somebody who already has 4,000 hours and is type rated in 4 jets. And, they're going to be wanting, significant, whatever. It works out for everybody, I guess, is my point I'm trying to make. And you don't have to be pigeonholed into that corporate job either. Some guys like corporate, but, to answer your question more specific, Joshua, you could go that route, get to the paying job. And there are parts of this country where you could make a good living as a flight instructor too. We just had that retired Coast Guard guy on that interview. He was saying out in California, was it California or Phoenix? Flight instructors are making $150 an hour. That's phenomenal money. But that's what it takes to retain a flight instructor out in that area, because it's saturated with corporate aviation, and these guys are getting their commercial instrument multi and running off to go sit in the right seat of a jet for somebody instead of flight instructing. So you could do that corporate job, that low time corporate job, or there's other things you can do. There's mapping jobs. There's a whole slew of banner selling. Yeah. A whole slew of low time pilot jobs. But you could do one of those until you reach your 1,500 and then run off to the airlines. And like I just mentioned in the beginning of the video, get that bonus for your new hire bonus and be making some good money. And you're not going to sit in that regional jet job very long before you're at the majors. And now we're talking that, that's where the big dough is. that we're
Yeah,
all.
totally. Totally. Yeah, yeah. And this kind of ties into the other viewer's question. That's good that about, he's in a current job. What do you say he's making 80,000 or
80,
something?
85,000 as a CNC programmer. So those machines
Yeah.
that cut and shape metal into car parts, it sounds like.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, it's good mechanical background. So, the pay keeps coming up on these entry level jobs,
Right.
and now you got to have 1,500 hours for this, but those regional airlines some of them are offering huge signing bonuses, 100K, right? Stuff
Yeah,
like that.
yeah. If you're already, there's different tiers of it. Like they got some bonuses that if you're the guy that's already flying for another airline and you're a captain, they're giving these guys 150K to leave that company and come be a captain for their company. Stuff like that's going on too. But we should dig into what Josh is asking a little bit here, Mike, because he's talking about this huge amount of debt. And we were talking about in the free video that we have up on our website right now. If you guys go check it out, you put in your email address and watch this video. We talk in detail about the program that ATP, pretty much the biggest flight school in the country right now, what they're hooked up with was Sally Mae or Freddie. I always
Sally Mae,
mix the education stuff up with the real estate because they're
Fannie
similar.
Mae and Freddie Mac.
Yeah. But yeah, that thing it's a deferred payment. Doesn't start for a year after you're done with training. And man, and you can start with 0 hours. So a year after you're done with everything and have a job, then the payments start coming in, and it's, not a big deal.
Right.
And the other thing, Josh, because you say, here's something that's key that, made my ears perk up as I read 50 hours a week. You're not even going to be in a fraction of that as a pilot. So even if you do that first flying job that you take because it's in your backyard, and it's only paying 55K or something for the first year because they're trying to figure out if they like you or something.
Right.
You could be doing some contract CNC work. You come in as a contractor or
right.
And still be
You
making.
could even negotiate. You could get your pay and benefits from your flying job and then negotiate with your old company wherever he's at.
Some kind of part-time thing. Yeah.
Right. Because everybody's short on skilled labor. So they're probably not going to want you to quit. So you go back and say, hey, on the days I'm not flying, I'll come in and run these machines.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I do not, I say this all the time, and I think it's because as I get older, I realize how more and more it's true. We rarely ever do we regret the stuff that we did, because you can always chalk it up to a learning experience.
Right.
Or,
right.
Hey, if I wouldn't have did that, I would have never discovered this. We hardly ever regret the stuff we did, even if it,
right.
I know this sounds nuts, but even if it's something as crazy as a DUI, I've heard some nutty stories about the path people take in life and the things their eyes were open to after whatever happened, negative or positive or negative. It's the things we didn't do. That's the stuff we regret. That's the stuff that stings and hurts as we age. So don't chase this down.
You miss 100% of the shots you don't take.
Absolutely. Toss off the bow lines, put the ship out at sea, man. You got to run, take action. We are in the greatest time ever to get into this industry. Don't worry about stuff like $85,000, $85,000 a year. That's going to be less than a quarter of what you'll be making a year at a major airline. Significantly less than a quarter of what you'll be making. And you'll only be working like 10 or 12 days a month. So,
let's put it this way, Sean. You and I started 20 years ago when the pay was awful and getting a job was awful, and it was still
because the ball was in the ball was in the companies, these the employer's court. It wasn't in the pilot's court. The pilot's got the ball right now, and
yes, totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was but even then, even when it was so hard to do it when we did it, it was still worth it. So for somebody
Absolutely.
viewing today,
So rewarding.
somebody
Yeah, exactly.
viewing it today, which has it 90 times easier than what we did, it's definitely going to be worth it. Yeah. So
Right.
I mean, that's the whole purpose of this channel and why we got it started. So I really appreciate everybody watching. We
Real
appreciate
quick,
the questions. Great
tidbit on that
questions.
90%, because I was about to say it may even, the percentage from 0 to 100% may not even apply. I think it's 140% easier, because not
Yes.
only are these people falling all over themselves to hire you, even the major airlines, because that was the key. Not everybody made it to the majors back when Mike and I were doing this. Now there's guys
They
that
weren't. They went like years without even hiring
yeah, exactly. Years
a
without hiring.
single pilot.
If you
Yeah.
made it, you didn't make it to you're pretty much 40 years old or past 40. Now there's guys that are 25 years old getting hired at major airlines. From the top to the bottom, these employers falling all over themselves to hire pilots for major airlines, all the way down to flight instructors. But the machines are easier to fly. It is so much
Right.
easier. Like, technically and educationally or mentally easier to fly these airplanes. Everything's digital with
Yes.
moving maps, and you're filing flight plans on an iPad or an iPhone and whatever. When Mike and I were doing this, everything was manual. It was a big chart spread across the cockpit, and you're trying to figure out where you're at and whatever based on your time, speed, distance equations of how fast you're going versus whatever. Well, wait a minute. Well, we forgot about the 150 knot wind we have right now, and you're going VOR to VOR, and now it's just GPS with a moving map. So from the top to the bottom of this industry, the best time ever to be a pilot, hands down, no argument. There's no argument.
100% agree. 100% agree. Yep. And it'll probably stay that way until the planes start flying themselves.
Yeah.
And we're a ways out from that.
Which is coming. We just got an email from somebody asking that question about the autonomous freight planes. And we're going to do an episode on that, because it is something, but nothing to be concerned about. It's just, at this point, it's just interesting. It's a little blip on the radar,
Yep.
Totally.
Totally.
Yeah. Thank you for the questions, guys. And hopefully that answers, that probably answers a lot of people's questions out there. And for one more quick thing on being 56 years old, don't let that stop you. Remember, there is no age limitation on the corporate world. You could literally
That's right.
be a corporate pilot till you have a heart attack driving to the airport when you're 93 years old. If somebody's gonna keep you employed, you can go as long as you want.
Yep.
But
awesome.
If you got a question for us, you'd like us to answer on the podcast, you can email us at podcast@propilotplaybook.com. But other than that, thanks for tuning in, folks, and
thanks. We'll see you next week.
Yeah.